My name is Charlene. I'm 42 years old. My ex took everything in the divorce, and I let them. While they walked away with the house we built, the savings we'd nurtured, and the life we shared, I was left standing in a small, empty apartment with a negative bank balance and a mountain of debt. In my hand, I held the keys to a car I couldn't afford and a single burning question that just echoed in the silence. What now? But this isn't a story about revenge or getting even. It's the story of how I embraced hitting rock bottom. It's the story of how I found power not in fighting a battle I'd already lost, but in letting go completely. It's the story of how I built a new life and a new fortune from the ashes of my old one. And it all started with one simple, terrifying decision. Before the end, I had a life that felt permanent, solid. We weren't just a couple, we were a team, or so I thought. We had the house with the big backyard, two cars in the driveway, and a shared calendar packed with dinner parties and plans for the future. From the outside, it looked perfect. On the inside, it was a well oiled machine, and I was the one who kept it running. I handled the budgets, paid the bills, managed the investments, all the quiet, thankless work that keeps a life afloat. Michael, my ex, was the face of our success. He was charming and ambitious, the one who could fill a room with his personality. I was the foundation he stood on, the scaffolding that let him build his dreams higher and higher. It was a role I just fell into. Our finances were completely intertwined, our names on everything. We were building a shared dream, but what I didn't see for the longest time was that we were working from two totally different blueprints. I was building a partnership. He was building an empire for one. The cracks started small, a dismissive comment about my contributions here, a major financial decision made without me there. I saw them, but I chose to patch them up to believe the foundation was still strong. I told myself that every partnership has its imbalances, that my quiet work was valued even if he never said it. I was wrong. The end didn't come with a bang. It came with the quiet, chilling finality of a business deal. One night, sitting at the kitchen island I'd spent weeks picking out, he slid a single sheet of paper across the cold marble. He'd outgrown our life, he said. He needed to move on, unencumbered. That piece of paper wasn't a settlement offer, it was a list of demands. He wanted the house, the investments, the cars, our shared business interests. He was taking all of it. My lawyer was floored. "We fight this," she said, her voice full of fire. "This is a gross injustice. We take him to court. We expose him." And she was right. It was unjust. I could have fought. I could have dragged us both through months, maybe years, of a bitter, soul crushing war in court, burning through what little emotional energy I had left. I could have turned our life into a battlefield. I could have fought for my half. But as I looked at that list, a strange sense of calm washed over me. This fight wouldn't be about justice. It would be about clinging to the wreckage of a life that was already gone. It would be about trying to prove my worth to a person who would never see it. That's when it hit me. He wasn't just taking the assets, he was taking the weight, the arguments, the bad memories, the broken promises. He was taking the whole rotten structure with him. "No," I told my lawyer, my voice steadier than I thought possible. "We don't fight. Let him have it." She thought I was in shock, but for the first time in years, I wasn't grieving. I was calculating. I realized my most valuable asset wasn't on that piece of paper. It was my future, my peace, my sanity, and he wasn't getting any of that. Letting him take everything was the price of my freedom. It was the most expensive and the most liberating purchase I would ever make. The grief was real, of course, but I knew in that moment I had to protect my future self from a war I couldn't afford to win. That first night in my new apartment was the loudest silence I've ever heard. The reality of what I'd done just crashed down on me. No savings, no furniture, except for a mattress on the floor and a credit card statement on my phone screen glowing with a balance that made my stomach turn. This was rock bottom. It was terrifying. This is what they mean when they say divorce changes everything, emotionally and financially. First things first, I had to stop the panic. I couldn't fix the numbers overnight, but I could face them. That night, with a borrowed pen and a notebook, I did what I now call a brutal financial inventory. You can't chart a path forward until you know exactly where you're standing. I listed every single dollar of debt. I listed my income, which looked so small all by itself. I pulled my credit report and winced. I gathered every financial document I had and put it all in one binder. It was a horrifying picture, but seeing it all laid out in stark black and white gave me a tiny flicker of control. I finally knew the exact size of the mountain I had to climb. But knowing doesn't pay the rent. The next problem was simple survival. How was I going to make it through the month? My income barely covered rent and utilities, leaving almost nothing for food, gas, or debt. This led to solution number 2, the bare bones survival budget. This wasn't about cutting back on lattes. This was ruthless. I listed my income, then only the absolute essentials: housing, utilities, groceries, gas. Everything else got cut. Subscriptions, eating out, new clothes, gone. I started tracking every dollar using a free app. And honestly, it was an emotional process. It forced me to confront the shame and grief of not being able to afford things, but it also taught me a vital lesson. I could live on way less than I ever imagined. This wasn't about punishing myself. It was about building a stable floor beneath my feet. For weeks, I was just a machine running on survival mode. Bills were paid, I was eating, but I was completely drained, haunted by the feeling that I'd made a catastrophic mistake. I'd lie awake at night with the what ifs swirling in my head. What if I'd fought? What if I'd demanded my share? That victim narrative is so seductive, like a warm blanket of self pity. The real change came on a quiet Sunday afternoon. I was walking through a park, watching families laugh, and I felt this pang of jealousy so sharp it stole my breath. And right behind it came another thought: that is not my story anymore. In that one moment, I finally got it. I had been looking at my decision as a loss, a failure. But what if it wasn't a loss at all? What if it was an investment? I hadn't paid with money. I had paid with a house, with stocks, with a life that was making me miserable. And what did I buy? A clean slate. I bought my way out of a toxic partnership. I bought freedom from endless arguments. I bought the right to build a life on my own terms, a life that was actually mine. This mindset shift was the real turning point. It wasn't a new job or a check in the mail. It was the internal pivot from "he took everything from me" to "I chose to give it away to get my future back." I stopped being the victim in my own story and started being the architect. My sparse apartment wasn't a symbol of poverty anymore. It was a blank canvas. The debt wasn't a life sentence. It was a temporary hurdle. The divorce wasn't an ending. It was my reinvention. My bank account didn't change overnight, but my energy did. I was filled with a sense of purpose and a fire I hadn't felt in years. I was no longer surviving, I was building. If this part of the story is hitting home for you, if you've ever had to make a really hard choice to get your peace back, do me a favor and hit that like button. It just lets me know that these conversations matter. And if you're on your own rebuilding journey, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to read today. And don't forget to subscribe, because this next part the rebuilding is where the real magic happens. With this new mindset, I switched from defense to offense. It was time to systematically tear down my problems and build a real foundation for the future. The first problem was obvious: the income gap. My salary alone wasn't going to cut it if I wanted to both live and actually make a dent in my debt. So I got scrappy. First, I looked at my day job. I documented my wins, researched what my role was worth, and walked into my boss's office to ask for a raise. It was terrifying, but armed with data and new confidence, I made my case and got a modest bump. It wasn't life changing money, but it was a start. Then I turned my nights and weekends into income streams. I took a skill I already had, writing and organizing, and started freelancing online. I wrote blog posts, I edited resumes. That extra few $100s a month felt like a million. It was the first new money I had created all by myself, and it was so empowering. With a little more breathing room, I could finally attack the next problem: that mountain of debt and the fact that I had zero savings. I needed a battle plan. First, I created what I call my Freedom Fund, an emergency savings account. My first goal was just $1,000. I set up a small automatic transfer every payday. Watching that balance grow, even slowly, was a huge psychological win. It was a buffer between me and total panic. At the same time, I went after the debt. I used the avalanche method, listing all my debts from the highest interest rate to the lowest. I made minimum payments on everything except the top one: a high interest credit card. Every spare dollar from my side hustles went to destroying that one debt. When it was finally paid off, the feeling was incredible. Then I took the entire amount I had been paying on that card and added it to the payment for the next debt on the list, creating a powerful momentum that made each payoff happen faster than the last. This was also when I let myself think long term again. I opened a new retirement account in my own name and started contributing just 1% of my income. It was also crucial to update beneficiaries on everything and sever all remaining financial ties to my ex. I knew I was in a little over my head with some of this, and this is where I learned that asking for help is a power move. I paid for a single session with a certified divorce financial analyst, CDFA. That one meeting validated my plan and gave me a few key tweaks that saved me from making costly mistakes. It's been 5 years since I stood in that empty apartment. Today, life looks completely different. That mountain of debt, it's gone, every last dime. My Freedom Fund now holds 6 months of living expenses in a high yield savings account. My retirement accounts are growing, funded by a strategy I built myself. I even own my own home again. It's smaller than the one I left, but it's 100% mine. And my net worth today, it's significantly higher than the half I would have gotten if I had fought. But the real transformation isn't something you can see on a spreadsheet. The real change is inside me. I discovered a resilience I never knew I had. I learned that I am more than capable of not just surviving, but thriving on my own. I built a career where my work is seen and valued, and I learned the difference between looking wealthy and the quiet confidence of being truly secure. Letting my ex take everything was, without a single doubt, the best decision I ever made. It forced me to shed a life that was suffocating me and to build one from the ground up on my own terms. The pain from that time was immense, but it was a fire that forged someone stronger and more independent. I didn't get revenge. I got something so much better: a life I genuinely love, built with my own two hands. So, what's the big takeaway here? It's that your lowest point can be your greatest launch pad. Hitting absolute zero is terrifying, but it gives you a rare gift: the total freedom to rebuild your life exactly the way you want, with no old baggage attached. It forces you to get real about what you truly need and what you're capable of. Getting from financial ruin to stability is built on a series of small, consistent steps. You have to face the facts, make a budget, find ways to earn more, and attack your debt. But more than any of that, it's built on that fundamental shift in your mindset, the decision to stop being the victim and start being the hero of your own story. If you're standing in the rubble of your old life right now, feeling lost and overwhelmed, I want you to hear this. You can hear this. The path forward might look impossible, but you have a strength in you that you haven't even tapped into yet. Take a deep breath. Take that first small step and then the next. You're not starting from scratch, you're starting from experience. And that is an incredibly powerful place to begin. Thank you for being here and listening. If you're on a journey like this, please be kind to yourself. You've got this. I'll see you in the next video.